you bring something to the table that other people don't. So don't undervalue what you bring. You as a person might like a deal, but you are not a deal. So don't put
Yeah.
that out there. Don't put that energy out there. You have a service and a talent that other people don't. So don't undervalue what you bring to the table. And I would say that to any business owner.
All right. I'm Rebecca Hay, and I've built a successful interior design business by trial and error, podcasts, online courses, and so many freaking books. Over the last decade, I've grown from an insecure student to having false starts to careers, and now I'm finally in the place where I want to be. Throughout my journey, it's been pretty obvious that I'm passionate about business and helping other entrepreneurs do the same. Each week, I'll share tangible takeaways from my own experience and the experiences of other badass women to help you build your confidence and change your business.
Hey, it's Rebecca, and you are listening to Resilient by Design. Today's episode is totally different. I've never had a conversation like this on the podcast. I am speaking to Miranda Cullen about a franchise. She has developed a franchise model that interior designers can step into like a business in a box and hit the ground running with their business. Whether you have been in business for a few years and you're struggling, or you've been working under another designer, we talk about the ins and outs of what this looks like, how she came up with this idea to franchise her business. And I think you'll find it really interesting. I ask some hard questions. I ask, what does it cost? I ask about pricing your design fees. I ask all the things. Is it location specific? So you guys are going to like this one. It is with Miranda Cullen, who also happens to be an international award-winning interior designer and decorator. She's a very energetic entrepreneur, a mom, a wife, a CEO, and she calls herself a rainmaker. And there's a reason that she fears no project that comes through our doors. I think that's really interesting. I recently recorded an episode about how designers often get nervous when a new project comes their way. And you'll see in this episode why she's not afraid of it, because she has a system set up. She has 30 years of experience. She's a valuable mentor in our industry. And she has an incredible interior design team that's the driving force behind the growth of her interior design company, Inside Stories. As she continues to build its legacy through franchising, you are going to learn all about that in today's episode. Enjoy. Welcome to Resilient by Design, Miranda. I'm excited to have this conversation with you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited as well.
It's fun. We actually chatted on the Wingnut Social, Design by Wingnut Social podcast last year when I was a guest host for Darla Powell, which is so funny. We're kind of coming full circle.
Yes, indeed. It was very fun. So I'm looking forward to today as well.
So maybe just give everyone a little bit of a glimpse into who you are.
Sure. So my name is Miranda Cullen. I am the owner and founder of Inside Stories. We are a large interior design firm here in Denver, a suburb of Denver, Colorado. We service all different types of projects, sizes, scopes, etc. here at Inside Stories. And for me personally, I have been designing now for officially 30 years. So many birthdays equals many years of designing. And I have run the gamut as far as the types of design projects and things that I've done. But this is by far the most rewarding part of my career, which I'm very excited to share with you about what we are doing here at Inside Stories.
Yeah, I love this conversation. For those of you listening, this is going to be a very different kind of conversation. So pay attention. When I chatted with Miranda on Darla's podcast, I learned that you have built a franchise model. And that was a year ago. So I can't wait to explore how that has developed since we chatted last. But I also love this conversation because it is something that when I was in the early years of my business, I thought to myself, like, oh, why is no one doing this? Why are there no interior design franchises? I actually had that thought. And And I thought, maybe I should do it. And then I was like, yeah, no, that's like a lot of work. So I'm
Indeed.
really excited. Like, what? So tell me a little bit about the model that you have. And then I want
Sure.
to talk about sort of like, how did you come up with this idea?
Of course. So to answer the second question first, so I have always been in high-end interiors from the get-go. And essentially what occurs, as you I'm sure know, and many of us know, is you get into this marketplace, you make a name for yourself, people start calling, it's really great, right? Your phone starts to ring, you've made it, folks are calling in, and I want you to design my home. And you get to the point as an interior designer that you're hiring staff to support you and designers to support you and executive staff to support your business as you're sort of growing, if that is indeed your goal. Although it wasn't my goal in the beginning, it just sort of happened. So I'm not really sure, as I circle back to that kind of crazy time. I didn't set out to create the firm that I created, but here we are today.
Mhm.
So when we have this sort of momentum going, it's project after project. What occurs is you start sort of pricing yourself out of the smaller design projects, and that need does not go away. Folks will call up and they're like, I love your designs. I really want you to do my living room. And the unfortunate part about when you're in that sort of upper echelon of projects, you don't know how to scope down to be able to still make a profit on a project that is smaller. And so a lot of us refer those out to those that are starting their businesses or do smaller projects, that sort of thing. So ultimately, what ended up happening in this higher end scale of our business, one of our referral designers called and was like, please do not send me anymore. Like, I can't handle this work. And it was sort of an eye-opening experience for me because I was like, how much have we sent you? And she was like, too much. And so ultimately, as a business owner, which I very quickly realized I said, we cannot be turning away warm leads. So people that call in and are seeking your services, you're not going out and seeking them, they are seeking you. We cannot turn those people away. We have to figure out how we can service this clientele and service them well. And so the idea of sort of our Inside Stories micro design service offering was founded based on that need. And essentially, what we've done is created a business model that starts at a 3-hour block of time for us to come in and do a paint consultation or a small, like, zhuzhing of your accessories and moving things around and creating a shopping list for you, all the way up to multi-million-dollar custom homes and everything in between. And what that has done for our company is it's given us a wide breadth of work, which sometimes is a little bit scary for folks because when you get a little too diversified, you're not good at one thing, right? You're sort of jack of all trades, but master of none. And we didn't want that for ourselves either. So wanted to create this business model that allowed us to service that full breadth of work and bring on talented designers and, staff that can support that piece of it. And so that is how we developed the business model. And then by refinement, so Inside Stories is officially 10 years old next month.
Wow, this is not a new business. Like, this is
No.
established.
Yeah,
I
and
realize
it has
that. This is
been
cool.
10 years of trial and error. I mentioned on the last podcast, we started this piece of the business as a business in a box, and I do not recommend that. And we've taken it all the way to what it is. And so through this trial and tribulations, we recognized about 4-ish years ago that we had business magic going on over here and wanted to figure out how we could support design businesses that were in the same situation as us, so that they could have the opportunity to capitalize on a business they've built as well as additional service offerings. So that was how the franchise model was born. And it takes a minute to get your sea legs when it comes to setting up a franchise. It's very costly as the franchisor to set the business up and get it set up correctly with the trainings and all the tools and what the offering is and figuring out what the franchise fee needs to be and all the legal documents. And then once you've got that all laid out, which we had when we last spoke last year, Then you have to have your go-to-market strategy. And so there's just a lot that goes into it. And for me personally, I wanted to make sure that we were 100% vetted before we hit the market, because the last thing I wanted to do is bring people on board and do trial and error on their time and their dime. Like, that is just not who I am. And so we
Wow.
are ready. We have soft launched. Our go-to-market strategy. We're going to be in a franchise expo in Austin next month, I believe. No, October. Is next month October? Almost. I am
I
like,
don't even know. No,
my
it's
head is
still
spinning
August.
these
We're
days.
recording. It's still August, but that's okay. It feels like
Right?
September already.
Yeah, we're just going to call it September. So yes. And we've identified a couple of really sort of hot markets that we want to go into right now, just to kind of test the waters and see. But yeah, we're ready to go.
Okay. Well, okay. This is so amazing.
Lots of
There's
things.
so much there. I want to take a step back.
Sure.
When you were talking about, because I think a lot of designers can relate to this, the idea of, I can relate to this idea of, like, you start to build a name for yourself. So you're starting to up level your projects. You're doing bigger projects. You start to bring on team members. And for those designers who are listening, who are a little bit more established, you've been in this situation where it's like, I don't want small projects anymore. Because it's funny, I literally had this conversation with a coaching client this morning where I was talking to her about, okay, as you scale your team, you need to ensure you're bringing in projects that will cover your expenses. And at some point, the smaller projects don't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, just to do a bathroom remodel or a living room or whatever it might be, those projects, though they could be great projects, they actually they drain your focus, and you can't do it as well. It's hard to do big projects well while also managing the small projects. So I completely can relate to that. And there's designers listening who are like, oh my God, all I get are small projects. I'd love a big one. Or some people are like, I wish I could service everyone. Like, how do you do it? So I love that you recognized, because you did what most of us do, what I tell designers to do: refer it out. You know, send it to a friend. If you don't have the capacity and you don't want to scale, which I think is the key ingredient there, because not everybody wants to scale the way that you have, and you can refer it out, but you saw an opportunity. And for everyone listening, I want you to consider, like, where in your business is there an opportunity that you are not paying attention to?
Right.
Where is there, like, money on the table? And for designers listening, it could be, why are we giving away all of our discounts? Why are we specifying all this furniture and not making money on it? For you, it was, wait a minute, people are coming to us to hire us. And we're like, bye, no, thank you. Like, wait a minute, this is not how business works. Like, they want to hire us. Let's figure this out.
That's right.
And it wasn't easy. It sounds like there was a lot that went into it. So if I'm understanding correctly, did you first start, like, you didn't start it as a franchise. You first started as, here is a second revenue source, almost like a separate business that is attached to ours, where we will just service small projects. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. So you had a special team. It was like almost like you started a second business.
We did. We started a different arm of our business. And we did, at the time, it was a completely separate set of books. It's a completely different LLC and all of that, because it operates very differently. And so it's a complementing sort of business. And that is something that is an option for those that want to participate in the franchise, or it doesn't have to be. You can just bring it all in and, you know, and kind of adopt the way that we have done our business as well. And we can coach to that as well. So, but most.
So is the
yeah,
franchise,
no, go ahead.
The franchise that you are now establishing, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but what was the secret sauce, do you think, to making that business tick to the point where you're like, oh, we could franchise this? Was it the size of projects that it was like, boom, each project is kind of similar? Was it your systems? Was it your branding? Like, what do you think were the elements that really made that business click, that made you realize we have something here? I think you said business magic. What was it that got you to that point?
Processes and systems got us 80% the way there.
Hello, everyone. Are you listening? I talk about this all the freaking time. Process is everything.
It is. Yes. So as designers, we by far are creative in nature, right? There's very few that are like split down the middle, business brain and creative brain, right? So we have to lean into whatever we are at our core. And we lean into that wherever our deficits are. We have to make sure that we're bringing support in to help us fill those voids in order to run a successful business. And not everybody thinks that way. And I think that we're trying to help, as it sounds like what you do with your coaching is you have a talent as a designer that most people don't have. It's why we're hired, but we're also very undervalued. And, just we do fun things and we shop for people and we create pretty spaces and, and it's all very fun. And it is. However, we are also business people. And it's important to me that we change the narrative of our industry and that we're also business people. And I know I don't do this just for the fun of it. I love what I do. And our staff loves, one of our core values is fun. Like this is fun, but it's not easy. It's very hard. And to be, the best self that you can be and also run a business and be now a profitable business, that is a whole different ball game. And that is what we're trying to help people do. Additionally, I'm at the point in my career where what happens next? I am not a young chicken anymore, spring chicken that right out of the gate has all this fury and fire for, pounding the pavement and figuring out where that next deal is going to come. Like I'm now tired and I've been doing it for a second. And so what does that look like for me? And I think for myself, I'm finding great value in offering this as a position to help folks that are at this stage in their career where they're like, what am I going to do? Am I ever going to be able to retire? Or I don't want to turn work away, but to your point, I don't have any time in my bandwidth to service a living room. I want to help them. I want to create a living room space for them, but I do not personally have the bandwidth to do that. And that is what this business proposition is. It's a handful of things. It's being able to service those leads that you're bringing in based on your branding, based on what this business that you've created. It also is giving you an opportunity to make money while it's not taxing your time. And I think for me, that is the biggest sort of plus. I have the most amazing team here and we have the most amazing projects that we're doing. And sometimes I sat down with a designer to help her space one the other day and I was like, wait, I've been in this house before. Who's this client? It's a client that sold a house that I didn't even know. And, it's projects that are going on and it really gives also very talented designers that don't want to start their own business creative autonomy. So they're under our umbrella of business and we have the systems and processes in place and they come in as these sort of entrepreneurial spirits that are not risk takers. They are risk adverse. Those of us that like want to just leap off the cliff, we're like, okay, if it doesn't go right, it's really fine. We'll just pick ourselves up and go the other direction. Some people are not like that. And so this business model gives people an opportunity that have a little bit of that entrepreneurial spirit that don't want to be under maybe the thumb of a designer telling them, I own the company, so you do what I say. It gives them the ability to interact with a client and build their portfolio while under the safety of processes, procedures, all of that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like if you were to have a franchise, if you were a franchisee, so like if a designer listening, which by the way, there are a lot of designers listening, I know you guys are there, who haven't started their business yet, or who are still working full-time and are dreaming about this entrepreneurial dream, or they've been doing a bit for friends and family, but holy heck, going out on your own is so freaking scary, which is why they're listening to the podcast and they're soaking up all the info. It's almost like what you're offering, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I see it as sort of like this happy middle ground. So you could either, on one extreme, you could just go work for a design firm, right? You could be a designer for hire. You could work under the thumb, as you say, of another designer, doing their style, their way. You could learn, you get to be creative, you could do that. Or on the opposite end, you could do what you and I have done, which is go out on a limb, go out on your own, hang your shingle, if you will, put your name on the business if you want to, and start from scratch. Obviously, take my course and use my processes, but
100%.
you are out on your own doing it.
Yep.
Or what I think you're offering is somewhere in the middle where it's like you get to have autonomy in the sense that you don't have a boss, but you can just use our systems, our name and our brand, and you can go out and get clients in your area and it'll make the business side easier. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, sort of.
Okay.
So
So let's break it down then.
yes, and there are a couple of different caveats, and we're not a one size fit all, but we do have some optional programs that folks can go into. So the biggest rule based on our franchise model, the way we have it set up, is that you have to have 2 years experience in the business. So it doesn't mean you have to have your own business. You can be a designer for 2 years. That is the only real qualification.
Okay, so you can't be someone who's working corporate right now and you're like, this is the answer. I'm just going to leave. I'm going to give my 2 weeks notice and I'm going to go to Miranda and boom, I got business in a box.
Right.
That's
We're
not
not
allowed.
that. We're not that
Sorry.
right now.
I misspoke. Sorry, guys. You guys can still come to me, though.
Right. That's right. But if you have been a designer designing under somebody else, or even, you did sort of go out on the limb, but you're still just like not quite figuring it out and what have you, to own an Inside Stories franchise, you just have to be in the industry for 2 years. So, originally when we started this concept and going forward with the business model, it was more conducive to folks that, have really established themselves. Maybe they're in business 3 to 5 to 6 years. They're on that swing of that boom. Like they're making it and they're about to make it. And so what do I do once I've made it to here with all of the filler that I've been working on? I don't want to turn that away. So, Rebecca Hayes Designs brings on an Inside Stories franchise. So it's Inside Stories by Rebecca Hayes Designs. You hire that staff. They work on those smaller projects and are creating constant monthly revenue under your brand. And you have somebody that's managing them, or you want to manage them, whatever you want to do. And it's running. So that's one way of doing it. The second way,
it could be tagged on to your business the way that you initially started it.
That's correct. Yep,
so if you
100%.
are an established designer listening, you don't have to give up that established name. If you are whoever design, you can just add this on. Cool. Yep. Okay.
Yep. So that's one avenue. The second avenue is what you're talking about. So I'm a designer. I've been working under somebody for 5, 6, 7 years to whatever it is, a minimum of 2. And I'm over it. I want to start my own business. I've been doing side jobs, what have you. And I want to go under an established sort of brand. You can do that as well. So Inside Stories by XYZ designer. And, that's really what your business is. And we put our systems and processes into place. We help you get all kind of set up and driving that direction. We do national marketing and branding. And so this is it's a nationally recognized brand. And so you can help build your book of business based on that as well. So it's kind of 2 ends of the spectrum. The one that we just talked about where maybe you're not as established, there's a lot more training and coaching that goes into it, as with, the coaching that you do for your designers. But nonetheless, the systems, the processes, the way that it's approached, the way people are paid, all of that still translates in.
Okay. That's really great. I didn't realize that there were those 2 avenues, if you will. And I think that's really helpful to understand, because you don't have to sort of throw away what you've established. You can sort of add it on. But I do actually think the appeal for someone who's just like struggling is thinking, this is like, oh my God, I don't want my name on the door. I'm still trying to figure this out. And it's just not for me, but I want to have my own shop. Like, this is a great way to go. It's a great. So couple of questions. Is this specific to the US? Could somebody outside of the U.S. franchise, or no, not yet?
So that's a very great question.
I know we have listeners from around the globe here.
Right.
And that they will ask.
Yes. So in short, the way we're set up right now is U.S. There are opportunities, and it just comes down to money, right? So the way that the disclosure documents and everything is set up just has to change depending on if we go into a different region of the world. So, right now, originally my goal, back when we were talking a year ago, was I was going to go after some venture capitalist money, and I opted to not. So I'm self-funding it. So right now we're a little bit more sort of bare bones basics, getting our sea legs, just because those next levels, they just, in attorney's fees and business setup, just is exponentially more in cost. So, but it doesn't mean that if, somebody from Canada was like, hey, I'm interested, what do we got to do to make this happen? We will make it happen. So it's just right now, and I don't want to say, the term kind of low hanging fruit. It's just, I know this piece of it. And so we can get it going really fast. Whereas, the other
Okay,
just,
that's a great question. So
that's just a little bit more.
Case by case basis. So if you're in
100%.
Mexico, or if you're in England, or if you're in Canada and you're like, this sounds amazing. Hey, maybe you could like negotiate the rights and that person sets it up in the UK. I don't know. I'm just throwing out
100%.
ideas,
I
right?
mean, I am a true business spirited person, so there's got to be a way to make anything work.
Someone I know just bought the rights to a franchise, not in the design industry, for like the lower half of like Alberta in Canada. It's an American company, and they were just coming into Canada, and so they've purchased the rights to have franchises in the whole. So there's there's so many opportunities and avenues I think you could go. This is so exciting. Okay, my other question is, what does it cost?
That's a great question.
Because it's not free.
It is
You're
not
not getting it all for free.
That's
Nothing's
right.
free.
So there's a few ways that this goes about it, but the initial franchise fee is $49,500, and that is for all of the rights to become a franchisee of Inside Stories. It covers all of the training, the implementation. We do on-site training. We bring folks in for training. We help and distribute all of our brand manuals and processes. We implement its website, it's all of the things. So once we're sort of done, it's like from start to finish, once you sign on the dotted line to you're set up to running your business, is about 4 weeks time. So we get you going really, really quickly. And then, yeah, it's really fast. And then, depending on if you're established and you have designers, that will translate over into the Inside Stories design sort of part of your business. There's a, sort of a rapid fire training as far as being an Inside Stories designer. We're not training you to design. You already have to know that, but we're training you on the methods and procedures of presentation style and how you go about it. And it's all about creating those efficiencies in the design process. Because as designers, we know we can head down that rabbit hole and then we're not efficient and then we blow our budgets and, it's like, so that piece of it is all there. And we have it kind of set up that within a 6-month period of time, if you allow us to help you do it right, the revenue makes back your initial investment within 6 months. So it's a pretty quick way of getting out there and earning your money back. And then, you're on the way to earning whatever it is that you want. And that's another thing we do. We sit down with each of the franchisees to identify what it is that their goals are. We kind of back into it always. What do you want your net profit to be? What's the extra that you want to, take away at the end of the month, at the end of the year? And then we build a business plan of revenue and projections and all that based on what their goals are. So not every company is going to be the same.
I love that. Right. Because some people want to be small. Some people want to grow and scale. And then, so just to be clear, so it sounds like it's not just a fee to have the name. You're paying that to get all of that support, obviously to get all the processes, the coaching. And do you set up the website for them?
We do. Yep.
That's included in the cost?
Yep.
Well, that's extreme value. As someone who spent a lot of money on websites.
Website design is so expensive. So expensive. So yeah, we have a really great network of folks here that are our business support. And so we have sat down and worked with them like, this is our goal. these are how many franchisees we're going to have over this year, next year, the year, and we want your best pricing. We're bringing you business. And so we've negotiated all of that within there. And then additionally, we will have monthly coaching that we will be providing to the owners and or, if they've hired somebody design wise to, run their staff or what have you, we'll have monthly coaching and all of that available as well towards that process.
I love this. It's also, if you think about it too, I mean, you're getting all this business in a box and the support that's ongoing. Oh, shoot, I just lost my train of thought. I had such a good question. Dang it, I lost it.
Don't worry, it'll come back.
It'll come back. Do you need to have a bricks and mortar? Like,
No.
you need to, okay, so you don't need bricks and mortar. Do you need to have a studio space outside of your home? Like, is any of that a requirement?
None of that's a requirement.
So anyone who's working out of their guest bedroom could start this business.
100%, but they need to be prepared that it will grow. So, building the brick and mortar, the rent for a space or a WeWork will be important to contemplate because inevitably the service is going to explode in whatever area. So,
right. I know what it was. Marketing. Let's talk about the marketing. So you're guaranteeing these people are going to make their money back in 6 months. So I'm just going to call you on that. How do you help these designers who buy into your franchise, find clients?
Yes. So we have a national brand fund that we create for marketing efforts, and in addition, we do require our franchisees to do isolated and specific marketing in their area as well. But we also will be helping drive those marketing efforts through SEO, SEM, and ads in magazines and online publications and all of that. So we will be doing that in those specific areas as well to help drive that business. And as we all know, the analytics behind it is, while it's a perfectly imperfect, sort of venture into marketing, because you could spend very little and get a huge return, or you could spend a lot. And so we've worked really hard with our digital marketing team on vetting the areas that we're, targeting and getting prepared and set up to start running those ads in those spaces so that people are starting to see these add-on services and micro design. And, that's really where we're plugging is the micro design because we feel like that is an area that is very underserved right now with some of these established firms. So, but we participate in that as well.
I love that. There's a company here in Toronto, and I think their name is TK Collective or Design. And she is not a franchise like you, but she recognized the need for designers to do small spaces because she found the same thing, that she was turning away clients for all these small spaces. She's like, there's an opportunity in the city of Toronto. It's actually in Toronto for designers for the odd jobs, for the client that's like, can you just do my powder room, or I need someone to help with this, or can you help me pick paint colors? And so she created a separate firm that I can't remember the name of it is, where it's a standalone to her design firm. Yep. And a friend of mine is one of the investors, and they basically are like, designers can go and work for them and get experience and do the small jobs under their umbrella. And then those designers can go out onto their own if they want. But it's like she's bringing in the clients. And so it's like, if you want to be a designer and you get pretty much total autonomy, right? We just need designers to tackle all these small jobs that people in Toronto need help with. And all the Toronto designers are so snobby, they're turning up their noses to it. They're like, I can't get that in a magazine, right? So there's and she's noticed that opportunity. And then there's another company out west in Canada as well, Trisha Isaby, who's a friend of mine, Isaby Interiors, and she has a totally different model to you, but she's also recognized a way to bring designers into her realm where they have more autonomy, and it's like running their business under her umbrella. So they get her resources, they get access to her marketing spend. And I'm starting to see this pop up because the thing is, there are so many people now who want designers who can't afford high-end luxury design. It's not like the 1990s.
Right.
right? It's not like Martin Short in Father of the Bride. Like, it's
Right.
not. And so there are a lot of clients who want designers for smaller jobs, and a lot of designers turn their noses up at it because they don't think they can make money. What I'm hearing is that you found a way for them to actually make money,
Yes.
um, and to not churn is the wrong word, but to churn out the designs, right? Probably in a more
Right.
timely manner,
Yes.
so that you can make money off of it.
That's right. Yes. I mean, the business model is definitely more quantity based because, if you're doing a living room, there's only so much you can do in that space. And there's not going to take you a ton of time to pull it together, so the design fees tend to be a little bit smaller. So within our firm here, we dub a micro design project anywhere from that 450 to like 5,000-ish as far as design fees goes. And we do everything priced on a fixed design fee. So we'll also train the franchisees on how to hit those marks for these fixed design fees. And then, from like 20K up, that's more of like the higher end and kind of exponential spends on that luxury. And then anywhere between the 5 and the 20 is more of those moderately ranged residential projects. And that might be 3 rooms in a house, and it might be, or a first floor, just furniture, or it might be a kitchen, master bath remodel with living room furnishings. So something that's a little bit more involved. And we still have our what we call our micro residential designers. They service all of those projects. So from the micro design all the way up to where it hits our sort of luxury, where we have our kind of residential X team, everything in between that. So it gives them also an opportunity. And we've kind of figured out the secret sauce to identifying what these designers, because there's a minimum in which these designers have to work because they are all employees. So these are not contractors. These are employees of our company, and we help you set them up that way. But we have a specific minimum of revenue that they must drive. That's based in their contract. And then based on that minimum, we say, you can go up from there. So what do you want to hit? And so then we help coach those designers to hit the numbers that they want to hit, which is what the basics of the business is for their revenue. And by identifying that, we say, okay, you need 2 micro designs and more of a residential project and a working session, which is a 3-hour block of time. And if you hit those every single month, you're going to hit your hours and you're going to hit your goals. And so, a lot of this, what we're targeting is very numbers driven. So it's black and white. It's not design driven. It's numbers driven. And then we put the creativity to it. And so while you're approaching it as a design business, it is a business. And having everybody weigh into their piece of that and the parts that they can control. Because that's the other thing too. As a creative, when you feel like you're under the thumb and you're doing it somebody else's way all of the time, you're like, well, what about me?
Frustrating.
Like, yeah, it's frustrating. I don't have any control over it. You're just telling me. You're telling me I have to work here till 11 o'clock at night. You're telling me I have to be here from 9 to 5, whatever it is. But when you are allowing them to be a part of that process and you get this big buy-in, you get people in that never want to leave, which is really great because now you've got recidivism in your business and they're participating in the success of your business and they're making money on selling goods. So there's commissions and all of these things which fuel people. And then they don't have to go out and set up all the vendor accounts and start their own business and hire an attorney and create their own contracts. It's like that part of it, as we all know, it's a nightmare and it's not fun. And so they can come in under the structure and do that, much like what you're talking about, that you're the people that in Canada that have done, and be a participating, and really like they're a needle shifter. I mean, they are a part of the success of the company, and everybody here really feels that. So that is what we're trying to create.
So when you say they and you talk about designers, are you talking about the franchisees, or are you talking about sorry, just to get clear, are you talking about for Rebecca Hay Designs, if I decide to purchase a franchise?
Yep.
Am I an employee, or the people that work for me have to be employees?
That's a great question. So as I'm talking about sort of the business model and the structure, and I say I'm talking about my employees that are my sort of micro residential designers under Inside Stories.
Got it.
sort of our mothership.
Not
Denver
the
office.
business owner, not like the Rebecca Hay who then owns a Inside
Correct.
Stories
You are,
franchise.
yeah,
Got it.
you are
Okay,
a
so I want to
franchisee.
clarify that.
That's correct. You're a franchisee, not an employee of Inside Stories. And then as you're bringing people in to support the micro-residential part of your business, those folks, you can set it up any way you want. If you want them to be, 1099s, it's fine.
Like an independent contractor.
That's correct. An independent contractor, that's fine. But just know that they won't be a forever independent contractor. It's more enticing to become an employee of somebody's company, to get the benefits and to be, really, brought in as part of the family. And so we recommend that piece of it. And so, you will then hire those employees to operate the systems under, Rebecca Hayes, and they're running the Inside Stories business model.
Got it. So I just want to go back to something you were talking about a little earlier, because I know there's designers listening, because I know my listeners so well.
Yes.
And they're like, you charge how much for what? So I want to talk about between the $5,000 to the $15,000. When you mentioned that scope of work, I just want to circle back to that, because designers, if you are listening, you are probably undercharging.
Yes.
Full stop. If you are charging less than $5,000 for any of the things that Miranda just talked about, 3 rooms, I'm just saying it because when I started, I charged like $4,500 to design an entire freaking house.
Yeah, we all made that mistake.
Yes.
The thing is, you gotta take your lumps. You gotta be like, oh my God, I definitely did not charge enough for that. And what's really great about this business model is that we set it up so you don't do that right off the bat.
You're not going to lose money right off the bat. We're going to
right off the bat.
So don't undercharge. I love it.
That's right. Yeah, it's a business proposition, and sometimes we very undervalue what we can bring. And I found myself, I'm sort of coaching some of these younger entrepreneurs that even aren't in the design world. And I said to somebody the other day, I'm like, you bring something to the table that other people don't. So don't undervalue what you bring. You as a person might like a deal, but you are not a deal. So don't put that out there. Don't put that energy out there. You have a service and a talent that other people don't. So don't undervalue what you bring to the table. And I would say that to any business owner, and be really strong with your convictions. And the thing is too, is with the Inside Stories business model, we have 10 years of data to prove why this room should cost this much to design and why this should yield this and all of the things. Like, we have all the data. And so you can speak to that. And when you put that in front of somebody, when they ask you, how'd you come up with that design fee? And you're like, well, I just kind of think it'll be this. That gives you no clout. But if you can say, well, we have 10 years of data that says that if you do a project of this square footage of this type of room, that it takes this many hours, they're like, whoa, okay, there you have it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll pay you. And sometimes we get pushback. And, those that push back, even $450 is a lot of money when you're trying to make it, and, you're rationing your spends and stuff. When you can come to the table and say, listen, I'll be your partner in this as you're growing in your career, and as you bought your first house, great. You don't have money to do it. Let's just create, one time a year, or one time every 6 months, or when you get your bonus, let's go back in and let's design that living room. And you become their partner in this. Then what happens is, once they're established and they buy their next house, and then their friend, and all of the things. And so much of what we do is word of mouth, because we can offer, what is it that you need? And we will put together a very thoughtful design fee and sort of design plan that works with what, works with your structure.
I love that. And it's funny, there's a designer in our community. The other day we had a call, and she said she was so excited. I was like, let's share our wins. And she said a win that she had was her client referred her kids to her. So her kids, they're not children, to her they are, had just bought their first house. And she's like, and the mom is like, I'm going to pay for you to have this designer to help you settle into your new home.
Amazing.
And like, there's a referral she could never see coming. And the project is smaller in scope, and it isn't at the level that the original client. But if you have something like what you offer, it's going to be easy to just, sure, no problem. This is a lower lower ticket,
Yep.
or this is a smaller scale project. We can handle it. This is how we do it.
Yep.
So I love it. Okay. This is such an interesting model. I'm so excited for you. And
Thank you.
I cannot wait to support and watch as this franchise explodes, because I
you.
think you're going to have a lot of designers who are very interested in this concept. How many franchisees do you have as of our recording today?
So as of now, we do not have any. We are in talks with 2, so fingers crossed. There
Amazing.
is definitely a cooling off period. So we did our soft launch about 4 weeks ago. So there is by law like an 8-week cooling off period. So once we go through kind of our initial discovery calls and our information, and once we pass our disclosure document over to the potential franchisee, there has to be, they have to review it with their attorneys, a 2-week sort of, simmer down and make sure you want to do this. And then
Right.
once it's signed, and then we go. So our goal is 1 signed before the end of the year, and 2 more kind of in the works is what we're gearing towards. So
I love it. So if you were listening here today, you could be one of the very
you
first
could.
franchise owner of Inside Stories. Like, this is a great opportunity, because as your business grows, it's not going to be 49,000. I can tell you, it's like
No,
anything. Get
that's
in
right.
now when it's 49, because next year it could be 100. Like, think
Yep.
about this, people. This is a great
Mhm.
idea.
Yes.
All right. I'm so excited.
Thank
What
you.
last nugget of wisdom do you have for our listeners today, Miranda?
So I just, as a entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a human, I always just don't let the no knock you to your knees. For me,
Yes.
no is just another way to figure out how to get you to say yes. And so turn that into a positive. And if you take that on any aspect of your life, I was that way since I was 3. My mom would say, "No, you can't have those shoes." And I'm like, "You want to bet? I'm having those shoes. So let's figure out how we're going to do it." So any aspect of your life, just those no's are just another way for you to turn it around and figure out how to get your yes.
I feel like you're talking to me right now, because I can tell you I've had a lot of no's in the last couple of months, to be
Okay.
honest, not in in business. And it can be disheartening. It feels like
Yeah,
a rejection, even
it
though
does.
it's like, if I didn't ask, I wouldn't have had I wouldn't have had the no.
That's
But I
right.
love this. Thank you for saying this, because it does sometimes get you at the knees. It's like, don't let it. It's just a no.
Mhm.
And whether or not that particular no turns into a yes for that particular thing, it could just be the universe redirecting you
That's correct. It
to
could
a
be.
better offer, to a better opportunity.
That's right.
I love this message. This is
Mhm.
the first time I've heard this nugget on the podcast, and we have
First.
recorded now 300 plus episodes.
Oh my
so
goodness, that's great.
that's pretty amazing. I love
Great.
that. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
of course. Thank you.
So before we wrap up, can you
Yeah.
please let everybody who's listening know where they can find and follow you, and where they could get more
Yeah.
information about Inside Stories?
100%. So we have a specific page on our website, so insidestories.com, that you can go at the top, click franchise. It's got some tidbit Q&A kind of questions, and then there's also a field that you can kind of fill out a submission form. And once that form goes through, I personally am the one that reaches out and sets up the initial discovery call, so we can hop on and chat. But there's a bunch of information on that page. You can follow us on Instagram. I am Miranda S. Cullen. Our Inside Stories _design is for our Inside Stories Denver office. And then we have Inside Stories franchise also on Instagram. So any of those avenues, you can get a
Amazing.
hold of us.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk
Yes,
to us
of course.
today. It's so wonderful. I got to talk to you twice about. I can't wait to
I
have
know,
you
you're so
back.
kind. Thank you so much. I enjoyed the first time. And then when you guys reached out again, I was like, yes, please. I'll do it again.
So when we chat next year, how many franchisees will you have?
Well, the goal is 5.
Okay.
So that is
So we're going to
it.
circle back. You're going to
Yes.
circle back with me, because I'm going to forget. You're going to circle
I'm
back. You'll be like,
I'm
Rebecca,
gonna keep
I'm
you up
coming
to
back
date.
on.
Yep,
Yes,
I'm gonna keep you
please
up to date.
do.
Yes.
Okay, amazing. Thank you,
All right,
Miranda.
Rebecca. Thank you.
All right, guys, that was so interesting. Honestly, I'm not going to lie. A part of me is like, maybe I need a franchise. I've got a lot of pokers in the fire though, so I'm gonna stay put. But holy heck, what a fascinating business model. And guys, just so you know, developing a franchise, like a company that is a franchise, is so much work and so much money. In fact, I think Miranda kind of underplayed how much it is, because I know other women who have started franchises that are very successful. It is a very time consuming endeavor. You, when you get to be one of her franchisees, get to benefit from all her hard work putting it together. I'm very excited to follow the journey and see how it goes. If you guys are interested at all, please contact Miranda. Let me know. I'd love to find out if anyone listened to this episode and then decided to pursue this avenue for their design business, because ultimately, you guys know I say it here all the time, it is all about process and having that support. It can be lonely running your business. It can be lonely as an entrepreneur. And if you don't have a community, if you don't have the support of a mentor to help you navigate the bumps in the road, it makes it really frustrating and really challenging. And I love that Miranda has come with her solution to that for designers. So thanks again to Miranda for being on the episode. I would love it for anyone listening here today, if you haven't yet left us a review of the podcast, could you please just take 30 seconds, go on over, click the 5 stars, leave a sentence. I would love for you to do that. The more reviews we get, the higher we get ranked inside of Apple and iTunes and Spotify. And then more people and designers can see our podcast and see that there's a lot of value to be had. So if you get a chance to review it, it would mean so much to me. That's it for today. I'll see you soon.